I'm sick, so deal with it. Back when I was a babby child, I had a simple way of thinking when I purchased games. They either looked or sounded cool, or I had a pattern. For Legend of Legaia, I bought it because I was collecting games that started with Legend. So I had Legend of Mana and Legend of Dragoon. Yes, I know it's the Legend of Dragoon, but if this was a library and I was mark coding that shit, there would be no the if you searched it. Oh, for that 245 field. So that's how I got my hands on Legend of Legaia at an early age. The game was developed by Contrail, who did Wild Arms and Wild Arms 2, as well as Legaia's sequel, and was published by Sony Entertainment in 1999. In the world of Legaia, there are humans and creatures, or objects, called Seru, which can attach to humans and give them great powers. The two species lived peacefully together until the mist started to spread across the world 10 years prior to the main story. This mist made the Seru go crazy and change into monsters, attacking the humans and nearly wiping them out. The game's story revolves around three main characters: Vaughn, the silent protagonist, Noah, the feral child, and Gallo, the warrior monk. This game takes a Wild Arms approach when introducing the characters, in that you get to control each of the characters in their own little prologue before they all meet up, giving you a nice insight as to how their lives were before starting the epic quest. These three have a special Seru that are immune to the mist's effects, and that grants them great powers. They are called Raw Seru. With these Raw Seru, our three heroes travel across the world, reviving the Genesis trees that push the mist away from the sections of the world, and also destroying mist generators to prevent the spread of the mist. Sounds like a normal RPG, right? Expecting a normal turn-based battle system, right? Nope! This game has an amazingly unique battle system, but it's not as good as Legend of Dragoon. I'm in love with that battle system.
Die! Hard blade.
This one for Legaia uses a combination of commands using up, down, left, or right. Depending on the input, you can do special attacks called arts. Just think of any kind of fighting game, but an RPG at the same time. You can also make a chain of combos. For example, if one move ends with down and another art starts with down, you can link them. It's a lot of fun figuring out what kicks ass the most. Magic is also a unique aspect of this game, but is kind of frustrating at times. The enemies you encounter are obviously crazy Serus, but they have an element attached to their name when you start the battle. If you can weaken the Seru and kill it, you have a chance to absorb the Seru, and you can then summon them to perform a magic spell in battle. Also, if you use one of the spells over and over, it will level up, and the spell becomes more powerful and gains some unique traits, like lowering the enemy's defense by a certain percentage. It can also be annoying as hell, since some Serus are rare as fuck. And if you don't absorb it, you'll have to search for them again and again. And the magic list isn't shared. So if you wanted everyone to have the same first Spire spell, you'll have to get each character to absorb the Seru by chance. By the way, the frame rate for some of the magic spells is really good for some reason. Like, nice and smooth. Now to give you an insight as to what you should expect when you play this game. I warn you now that certain points of this game are brutal and difficult. I still remember certain boss fights from the game because I had to redo them again and again. It also suffers at one point that I can recall from trapping you and forcing you into fighting a boss with no way of leaving the town to grind until you beat it. Thank God I was a stubborn child. The beginning of the game was difficult too, since you're limited with supplies and money to make your characters decent. The music in the game is quite memorable, to me at least, and interesting. The battle and boss theme sounds like it should be in a fighting game, while the other music, such as Towns, sounded like a traditional RPG. It also has the best music for the dance club in the minigame tower. I think it's called Soul Tower, but to me it's just the minigame tower. I adore this game, no questions asked. It was one of those childhood games that I look back on fondly, and would definitely pick it up after a while and start a new record. The characters are interesting, the battle is a nice change from the usual systems they had back in the day, and although the story is kind of predictable, I'm fine with that, as long as there's other shit to distract me with. It does have some nearly impossible side quests. The one I think of first is the quest in getting the Juggernaut summon. You have to have all characters on level 99, and it takes a fucking long time for one character to level up. So, screw that. Just look at the video on YouTube if you're curious as to how it looks. I'll just touch on this game's sequel, Legaia 2, Duel Saga. It has an entirely new story and does not continue from the first game, sadly. It is still a solid game, but only at a reasonable price. The one thing to note about this game is the range of composers that help make the music. It ranges from the original composer from Legend of Legaia, Hitoshi Sakamoto from Odin Sphere and Final Fantasy Tactics, and Yasunori Mitsuda, who is famous for Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, as well as Xenogears. In the end, it's a good soundtrack. Anyways, play Legend of Legaia. It's worth it. If you plan to play this game, and I think you really should, to save yourself from dying, I suggest building up your move list as much as you can by experimenting. Always try to have at least one person absorb any Seru that you encounter, especially those that are healing spells. Listen when you play the arcade fighting game in Soul Tower. The name of it's called Baka Fighter, but they cut it off and the announcer dude says, Ba Fighter. I'm serious. Enjoy!